Okay, so in this video, I will be giving 10 solo drinking tips specifically for autistic people. More specifically for those who have alleles which genetically predispose them to having a linear increase in dopamine levels for every standard drink consumed. And it's not for people who drink socially or uh, get sleepy afterwards. It's for those who actually have increases in functioning upon drinking alcohol. So, number one is never get blackout drunk during daytime in a nice neighborhood or a suburb, and also never get blackout drunk at night if you're in a big city or a rough area. This is because in the suburbs, if you do something during the daytime, people are going to be more suspicious of you since that's where people live and are not at work during the time. And don't do it at night in a big city or in a bad area, or actually, I'd say in a big city at all, because it's just so overly saturated with people and cameras and people with cameras everywhere that it's just not a very good idea. Okay, so number two is practice driver safety religiously. So read the driver's manual every single day. Always make sure to tighten your seatbelt all the way so that if you crash, you don't have your head smashed to the windshield. I'm definitely not suggesting that you drive drunk. However, if you're young and your prefrontal cortex is not only not developed fully, it's also being impaired by a substance that literally goes into every cell of your body. Okay, number three is use it to overcome personal anxieties or difficulties. Like, for example, we autistic people are almost always more sensitive than the average person, and we actually can find certain negative feelings about ourselves to be unbearably painful. Like, I personally have also overcome anxieties about myself through focusing on it while drinking that I am thankfully no longer bothered by, and that's actually a very good thing. It's uh, Okay, so number four is learn jujitsu. This is important because, unfortunately, uh, over 50% of almost 50% of physical altercations involve alcohol. So you're more likely to get into a physical altercation either while you're drunk, while somebody else is drunk, or maybe both. So you definitely need to learn how to defend yourself. And if you get extremely intoxicated in public, you may even have some homeless guy try to rape you. So you need to be able to defend yourself from that. Okay, so number five is memorize your local streets. Unfortunately, alcohol, for most people, it causes them to have lapses in memory and to have fewer long-term planning abilities. So you definitely need to learn your locality by heart, every single street. Like, you should be spending every day going through the Google Street View maps, just scanning every inch of the places where you walk or bike or maybe even drive. Okay, number six is study social skills with and without drinking. Unfortunately, we autistic people have inherent neurological, psychosocial impairments that make us inherently more anxious no matter what we do. And many of the only socially acceptable places to meet people as an adult are places like bars or arcades in some cases. So there's something called state dependent memory where, like, if you're studying something while you're drinking, you'll memorize it when you drink again. However, you won't memorize it when you're sober. So you definitely need to buy some social skills textbooks and study them religiously, both while you're drinking and while you're not drinking, because you never know if you'll have to. The only social opportunities you have are under the influence. Uh, Number seven is do unpleasant things while on it. So if you have something you're procrastinating on, like schoolwork, applying to a job, maybe cleaning the house, and you have the alleles that where alcohol actually gives you energy while making you sleepy, instead of making you sleepy, you should most definitely um, use it to overcome those things. Like I personally have applied to several jobs and managed to like get a job and also study the driver's manual while under the influence because I just find that stuff to be painfully boring if I don't do it. Like I'm not encouraging alcoholism, but you get the idea. Number eight is meditate before, after, and during drinking if you can, which you definitely should. So I'm not necessarily saying that you meditate, but just use, if it does increase your dopamine levels, use that increased dopamine to stay focused on one thing and one thing only, rather than like gooning or scrolling and jumping from tab to tab to tab. You should, if it does cause you to focus, which it does for some people like me, you should use it. Otherwise, you're risking trouble. Because if you use something that decreases your prefrontal cortex's functioning, it's just going to cause you to go down a spiral of needing more stimulation to activate that prefrontal cortex since it's where dopamine is processed. Number nine is get very good at running. Unfortunately, you may get into legal trouble just for being drunk outside. Uh, so you definitely need to, or maybe even like have the courage to, I'm not encouraging this, never done it, but like shoplift even. So you definitely need to be able to outrun people who like try to get you in trouble. And also another benefit of running is that it reduces the risk of heart attacks from excessive drinking over the course of your lifetime, which unfortunately many autistic people who are stuck in big cities with dangerous blacks everywhere are forced to do in order to like not panic all the time. And number 10 is avoid hedonistic activities more than once a week. Like, I don't think anything is more destroying of dopamine receptors than gooning while under the influence of psychoactive substances. Like, that's just gonna make your life boring quicker than anything else. So if you do engage in an activity like that, like gooning while you're on drugs and alcohol, you should definitely limit yourself to no more than once a week because it just spikes dopamine to very unhealthy levels. Okay, so a disclaimer is that this is not necessarily a harm reduction video. Um, this is a video that teaches you how to maximize the enjoyment you get from the substance and also potentially use it to enhance your life, maybe, possibly, if you have the genetics for it. Okay? I know that alcohol is no safe is not safe in any amount, but for some people, it can actually help them function in the real world if they have like neurological problems.